Winter vagina, when the vagina dries out from the cold. Summer vagina, when your vagina dries out from the heat. It's a vagina, not a barometer. Scrolling through social media, it seems there's a lot of people out there who still think the vagina is an icky place. But good news, there's all kinds of products out there to whiten, tighten, brighten, and enlighten a vagina. It's ridiculous, and it's rooted in the world's messed up views of our bodies. Let me explain. So have you heard any myths about the vagina?
Oh, the pineapple juice.
I've heard like pineapple.
So that pineapple juice would change how you taste
Yes.
or smell?
Mhm.
You often hear about like you can change the taste of like your semen.
So it won't, it can't.
It can't.
There's no connection between your gut and your vagina.
Like the bit about steaming your vagina. Apparently you sit on a throne like a dumpling, someone said. It doesn't sound good to me.
No.
So you've heard about douches?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because like I don't think that's healthy.
It's not healthy though, it's actually very dangerous. It's all good. It's got it all under control. Your vagina is a self-cleaning oven. There are still a ton of myths about the vagina that we need to debunk. First, let's get one thing straight. What we often as society call the vagina is actually the vulva. The vagina is the inside part that connects the uterus with the outside world. The vulva is the whole external part, where your clothes touch the skin. Secondly, I'd like to point out the penis and the scrotum have nothing on the vulva and vagina. The vulva and vagina are the ultimate multitaskers. They're built to handle going to the bathroom, having a baby, dealing with a period, and orgasming, and doing it over and over again, especially the orgasm part, because multiple orgasms are a feature. The problem? The vulva is often neglected. We barely talked about it historically up until a few years ago. We've also historically taught women that vaginas were in near states of infectious catastrophe. I'm not sure how we would have survived, evolutionarily speaking, up until now, but the narrative of a dirty vagina did fit the patriarchy's goal of female oppression. Patriarchy, a system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it. We also have celebrities with their 8-step vagina prep regimens. I mean, I think they're talking about their vulva. I'm a gynecologist, and I have a no-step vulva prep regimen. We also have society being obsessed with hairless, tight, small vulvas, as if diminishing something that brings women sexual pleasure is somehow beneficial. Almost every day of my professional career, I have listened to a woman cry. She's been told she's too wet, too gross, too loose, too tight, too smelly, too hairy, not hairy enough. No woman has ever benefited from learning less about her vulva or vagina. So you know what? Let's get to learning.
Let's use the projector to explain it. Lights.
With men controlling medicine, religion, education, and society up until about now, vaginas were pretty much considered mysterious and shameful.
I don't know how to explain it. Don't you know?
I know what it is.
Some cultures around the world even spun ridiculous tales about vaginas having teeth, otherwise known as vagina dentata. In many of these stories, brave men were needed to tame these vaginas to get them to retract their teeth, sometimes even through rape. In 1897, German physician Wilhelm Fleiss developed an idea called the nasogenital reflex, which basically means the nose is connected to the vagina and that ailments in one could affect the other. He believed that you could treat painful vaginal problems by snorting cocaine or removing part of the nasal cavity. Thankfully, his ideas did not catch on.
Are there other questions?
And the most pervasive myth of all is that the vagina is inherently dirty and needs creams or potions or washes to take away some of its filth.
Look how cleverly it's designed.
For example, in the late 1920s, Lysol disinfectant cleaner, yes, the stuff you now use for your toilet, was marketed as a way to prevent vaginal infections and odor, and even as a method of birth control. Ugh.
Lights, please.
Everyone from celebrities to friends on Facebook and crafters on Etsy are selling products that they claim can give you a perfect vagina. Let's take a look-see. Oh my God, steaming. Don't steam your vagina. This is something people say can help cleanse your uterus and vagina. It can't. Look, I know people tell you to squat over a pot of steaming allergens and somehow that steam's gonna cleanse your uterus and clean your vagina. Your uterus and vagina don't have toxins, they don't need cleaning. It's garbage, you don't need to do it. I don't care what anyone else says, I'm the expert. All right, what else we have in here? My old friend, the jade eggs. These things are gonna follow me around for the rest of my life, and they're probably gonna be on my tombstone. What these things are cheap products upsold to put in your vagina to help tone it, and it's not gonna work. The idea is that this is an ancient secret of concubines and empresses from China. Guess what? They're not. I researched it, because I'm me. This is something that's porous, it could introduce toxic shock syndrome, and I definitely advise against it. If you want to use vaginal weights, great. Use something made of silicone. Oak galls. What are they, you ask? Well, they're where little wasp larvae kind of grew in trees, and that sounds gross. Wasp larvae were in here, and people want you to grind them up and put them in your vagina. Apparently, it's gonna dry and tighten things up. You do not want a dry, tight vagina. You want a moist, flexible vagina. The cucumber cleanse. This is one that's been on Facebook and it goes around and around and around. You're supposed to peel the cucumber, put it in your vagina, and turn it around and clean. No, really, don't do that. Your vagina doesn't need cleaning. It doesn't need bits of cucumber falling off in it. Who knows what that could do? Vaginal yogurt for yeast infections. Sounds like a great idea, like all the snake oil does on the surface. Yogurt does have lactobacilli, which is healthy bacteria, except the yogurt doesn't have the right kind of lactobacilli for your vagina. If you put yogurt in, it might feel a little bit soothing, but it's not gonna treat anything, and it could potentially cause harm. So really, don't put yogurt in your vagina. Garlic. I know, I feel like I'm making tzatziki. Garlic is promoted for vaginal yeast infections because people think that the allicin, which is in garlic, could potentially kill yeast. There are no studies to show that it works. And for garlic to have any medicinal properties, you have to chop it up and grind it into tiny pieces. Imagine tiny little bits of garlic all over your inflamed vagina with a yeast infection. That would really hurt. Look, none of these products are based in sound science. There's a lot of stuff out there on the internet that people say can help your vagina. And I gotta tell you, if it's a food, it's not gonna do that. If it's on Etsy, it's not gonna do that. And if it's sold by a celebrity, it's probably not gonna do that. Many of them have the potential to do real harm. It's a vagina, not a pantry. I need a drink. So I'm here with my good friends, Dr. Nadine Thornhill and Dr. Yolanda Kirkham, and we're going to explore my vagenda, and we're going to talk about the vulva and vagina. Let's do some rapid fire right off and talk about some myths that you guys have heard about. What's a big myth that you've heard about that you have to bust all the time?
Okay, so when you have sex for the first time, if you have a vagina, it's supposed to be kind of painful. No, it's not. It's a common experience, but it's not one that you have to have.
At whatever age you are, if foreplay is just twist a nipple and stick it in, it's gonna hurt, right?
Yeah.
You need a, you know, everything needs to be, you need a setup, right?
Exactly.
For it to be a good experience. Okay.
And that setup sometimes can take months and not just hours or minutes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Yolanda, tell me, what's a big myth that you've heard?
Well, that all vaginas and vulvas are the same, or that there's only one special look to it. You know, I think everybody knows that men are all different. We joke about it all the time. They joke about it. But every single woman is different, whether it's the outer lips or the inner lips.
Right.
And we're talking about labia minora and majora.
Yeah, that's actually a myth that I bust all the time. And actually, hey, I've got a puppet here we could do some anatomy with. And look, I've got 2 puppets. So the labia minora, the inner lips, can protrude beyond the labia majora 50% of the time. It's a total normal anatomic variant. If you have small labia minora, it's great. If you have big labia minora, it's great. It's all good. Love your labial cleavage.
They can be different lengths as
Well,
well.
they're sisters, not twins.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's
Yes. I love that.
I wish people would know that removing pubic hair is also not necessary. It's the fashion right now, but since Brazilians have come into play, gynecologists, as you know, we've seen lots of accidents, waxing accidents.
Every pubic hair is attached to a nerve ending, and every time you tug on the pubic hair, that might be part of your sexual response. And the absence of pubic hair may also be what's leading women to think that there's abnormalities down there, right? Because if everything is covered up with a little bit of hair, then you're like, well, it all looks generally the same. But if we all shaved our heads, we'd probably all see we have very different head shapes, right?
Exactly.
And that we all look really different underneath. I'm gonna lay something on you guys.
Okay.
The discharge challenge.
Oh.
It's where women on social media are bragging about their underwear being dry from the absence of discharge.
What?
The vagina is naturally moist, just like your mouth is.
Right.
It's a normal cleaning mechanism.
What's really bizarre, it's another one of these things where, our bodies are always wrong because it's, your vagina should be dry as a bone unless you are having penetrative sex with a penis, and then it should just be, wet and gushing all the time.
Gushing on demand.
Exactly.
There's a penis in the room. Otherwise, dry as a bone.
Dry. Yeah.
I want to ask about the first time you saw your vulva and vaginal opening, okay? And the first time for me, I was maybe about 13, 14 when I had my first period, and I was trying to get a tampon in. So I got a mirror, and I went to the bathroom, and I put one foot up, and I got the mirror out, and I'm like, on the toilet looking, and I was like, oh, all right, okay, right? It was both anticlimactic and empowering at the same time, which I think is actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I think I was about 5, and I went into my bathroom and climbed up on the counter so I could look in the mirror, and I was just like, what's going on down there?
So you're a natural-born sexual health educator. It's in your DNA.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually didn't take a look until my first sexual experience, which to me was enlightening because there's different colors, shapes, and it changes too. There are so many women that have not looked, and we all look inside our mouths when there's something wrong, but if you don't look at yourself in that area, in the vulva, when you have a bad experience or when something happens to it, you don't have a normal or your normal to compare it to.
I want you to know that it's fine. It's fine. The way it looks is fine. The way it smells is fine. The shapes are fine. That it doesn't look like anybody else's, that's fine. That's what it's supposed to be.
Embrace what's there.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll drink to that.
Same.
Cheers. So what have we learned? Your vulva and vagina are not some animals that need to be tamed. Thousands of years of evolution show they can take care of themselves. We've also learned that keeping people with vaginas uninformed, embarrassed, and making them think their intimate places are dirty serves only the patriarchy. So, the perfect vagina is your vagina, period.